3 expensive watches have been stolen from Mr. Brown's store this year. The police can't help the poor man. He decides to hire a private detective. When Laura arrives, she immediately asks for the CCTV footage from January to December. After watching it, she tells the store owner who the thief is. What has she noticed in the video? The same guy came to the store several times in April, August, and November. And every time he has a cast on his arm. But no broken bone would need 8 months to heal. Follow the Sun was a very popular travel agency. It sold package tours to the hottest and most exotic destinations. But one day, the police found out that this company helped criminals flee the country. They also learned the exact date when it would happen the next time. On that day, several police officers arrived at the airport. They stopped a group of tourists who were flying to a Caribbean island, but the detectives didn't know the criminal's identity. That's why they had to search the baggage of all the passengers. Look at their bags and say who the criminal is. It's the young woman on the left. If she's going on a package tour to a hot place, why does she need a winter jacket? No matter how fast you are, you'll never be faster than me. I follow you wherever you go. What am I? I'm your shadow. Carl and his wife Olivia had dinner. They ate the same dishes: French fries, some fish, and vegetable salad. Half an hour later, Carl felt unwell and called an ambulance. But when specialists arrived, he was already unconscious. The man was immediately taken to a hospital. Luckily, doctors had enough time to save him. When they figured out what was wrong with Carl, everyone was shocked. The man had been poisoned. But how could it happen? He and his wife ate the same dishes, but Olivia was perfectly fine. Even more surprising, the next day, the police arrested the woman for trying to poison her husband. How come? Olivia made all the dishes not salty enough and put poison in the salt shaker. Marta takes 6 ice cubes from the freezer and puts them on a plate. She removes 2 of them and adds another ice cube. She waits for 20 minutes and puts them all back in the freezer. How many ice cubes are left? Just 1, but it won't be exactly a cube. All the ice cubes will have melted and, placed in the freezer again, will form one large chunk of ice. Joe texted his friend Randy. He needed some advice. Joe wrote, "My girlfriend took my professional camera without asking permission, and then she accidentally smashed it. What should I do?" The answer was bizarre. At first, Joe didn't think he wanted to follow this advice, but a bit later he decided it was the best course of action. What was the advice? Forgive and forget. Someone broke into Samantha's house through the window and stole some valuable things. When the police came, she told them she suspected her younger brother Sam. The police officers went to question the guy, but he denied everything. "I was playing basketball several days ago and broke my leg. As you can see, it's in a cast now. It's hard for me to even leave my house." The police officers left, but the next day, one of them saw Sam near his house. The guy was still wearing the cast, but the officer immediately arrested him. Why? When the police visited Sam, the guy had a cast on his right leg. Now it was on his left leg. A farmer only has goats, sheep, and horses on his farm. At the moment, they're all horses but 5, all goats but 4, and all sheep but 3. How many of each animal does the farmer have? There are 3 sheep, 2 goats, and 1 horse on the farm. Altogether, there are 6 animals. Police officer Cheryl Adams was walking along the river, taking some pictures she needed for a case, when a man crashed into her. They both fell to the ground. After helping Cheryl to her feet, the man started to apologize. Someone had stolen his wallet and he was trying to catch the thief.
I was painting my boat and my wallet was lying next to me. But then I got distracted. And when I turned back, the wallet wasn't there anymore.
Cheryl understood that the thief couldn't have gone far. They ran to the nearby pier. There were 4 people there. After looking at them attentively, the police officer knew who the thief was.
Yes!
Now, it's your turn to figure it out. It's the man who's talking on the phone. There's some green paint on his left pant leg. Damien was at work when he found out he'd won the lottery jackpot. He told his accountant he wanted to give half of this money to his best friend, Logan. But random people started to show up in the office, calling themselves Logan to deceive the accountant and get the money. Can you figure out who the real best friend is? It's the guy wearing a matching bracelet with Damien. Look at these prisoners. Can you figure out who's planning to escape? It's the most innocent-looking guy, reading a book. In the corner of his cell, we can see a pile of dirt. He has already dug a hole, planning to use it to escape. Sandra's boyfriend went on a business trip to New York. Soon, the girl got a weird text message from him. It looked like this. What did Sandra's boyfriend want to say? The message means, "Unhappy without you." A woman went out of the airport terminal. She hailed a taxi and gave directions to the driver. As soon as they drove off, the woman started to talk. Her chatter annoyed the driver. He turned to her and said, "I can't hear what you're saying. I'm almost deaf." The woman didn't open her mouth for the rest of the ride. Only after she got out of the taxi did she realize the man had lied to her. How did the woman understand it? If the driver had hearing problems, he wouldn't have been able to follow her directions. Dylan was an extremely popular guy in his office. Tall, handsome, funny, and friendly. But there was one thing that made certain people dislike him. The man had a new girlfriend every month. That Friday, Dylan came to work very happy. He had finally bought the car of his dreams. At lunchtime, he went to the parking lot to check on his new toy. Oh no, his car was a mess, scratched and covered in paint. Dylan called security. He had 3 suspects, all of them his exes. Andrea said she didn't even know that Dylan had gotten a new car. Catherine answered she'd been preparing a report for their boss and hadn't left her desk. And Mila told the guy that she'd forgiven him long ago. Who ruined Dylan's car? It was Catherine. She has some paint stains on her skirt, and the color is the same as the paint on the man's car. Emily was standing on one side of the river, and Anna was on the other. Anna shouted, asking Emily to come and meet her, and Emily did that. There was no bridge across the river, but the girl crossed it anyway, without even getting wet. How did she do it? The river was frozen. One guy was going to Disneyland. At one point, he arrived at a crossroads. There was a sign there. Blueville, right. Disneyland, left. The guy stood there for a while and then, terribly upset, he went home. Why? He thought Disneyland had really left. An orange house is made out of orange bricks. A yellow house is made out of yellow stones. A blue house is made out of blue logs. What is a green house made of? It's made out of glass, of course.
Uh-oh, Allie was missing for days when her husband Orson called the police to report it. Detective Wells arrived at the scene and found her purse buried in the garden. Inside, there was a note that read, "It's a sign, you're mine. I redesign your new life." The police had 3 suspects with unusual names: Orson, her husband, Ryan, her best friend, and Atlas, her brother. Who took Allie? It was Ryan. Almost all the words in the note rhyme with his name. While driving in a storm, John saw 3 people standing in the rain at the bus stop. But he only had 1 seat available in his car. Who gets the ride? His childhood friend, an old lady that looks like she's freezing, or his wife? John asked his childhood friend to drive the old lady to the hospital and then take the car back to his house, and John himself will wait for the bus with his wife. Mark is locked in a 30-foot tall cell with an earthen floor and a window near the ceiling. There's nothing else in his room but a shovel and a bed. The entrance is blocked with concrete. How can he get out? Mark can shovel the soil to the wall underneath the window and climb out. Detective Jones was called one day by Border Control about a suspicious pickup truck. Every day, the vehicle went back and forth between 2 countries with a large sack in the back of its truck bed. When the detective opened the sack, it was filled with sand. What was the driver smuggling? Trucks. A geography teacher vanished on the first day of school. When the police arrived, they suspected 4 people who claimed to have alibis. The landscaper was mowing the front lawn. The English teacher was giving students a surprise test. The principal was preparing for his welcoming speech. And the coach was meeting new students who wanted to join the football team. Who was lying? The English teacher, of course! Students don't get surprise tests on the first day. Well, maybe not at this school. A crazy scientist took 10 people into his lab to check their intelligence. He gave everyone 2 pills and a glass of water. He told them, 1 pill is a placebo and the other is poison. Whichever you take, I'll take. But somehow everyone ended up unconscious after the trial except for the scientist. How did he do it? Both pills were placebo. The poison was in the water. Shane and Mia went to Japan for their honeymoon. Only Shane came back, and Mia's family called the best detective in town. What should be the detective's first move? Inspect Shane's suitcase. Inspect Shane's house. Call the travel agency Shane and Mia used. Call the agency to see how many return tickets Shane had booked. He's a suspect, and he shouldn't know the police are investigating him to avoid losing the evidence. Someone knocked on Amy's hotel room door. When she opened it, she saw a mysterious man. He apologized and said he'd mistaken Amy's room for his. When he left, Amy called the police. Why? Nobody knocks on the door of their own room. This is a technique used by people who want to break into someone's home. A worker was found unconscious near the entrance of an abandoned building. He has no memory of what happened, but seems to have fallen from the building. Detective Marks is assigned to this case, and he must figure out whether the worker fell or was pushed. He goes to the first floor, opens the window, and throws out a small rock. He does the same on the second floor and all the way to the top. When the detective comes back down, he's sure the worker was pushed. How does he know? He had to open windows on all floors to throw out rocks. This was an abandoned building, and someone closed the window right after pushing the worker. James ordered a coffee from his local bakery, put in some sugar, but then noticed a fly in his cup. He told the staff member, and they took back the coffee and brought him a new one. But when he got a sip, he got angry. Why? His new coffee was already sweetened. The staff member only removed the fly. Tom was walking in a snowy park at 10 p.m. when he got attacked from behind. He didn't see who knocked him out, and he immediately went to the police. The detectives questioned 4 suspects. Adam said he was at a suit fitting for his dinner later. Daniel said he was hosting a party at his place. Susan said she was working out before going to work. And Luke said he went to the park to get some cool photos of flying birds. One of them is lying. Who? It's Luke. It's next to impossible to see birds at night in winter. Right before the final soccer match, the team's goalkeeper went missing. The police arrived and they had 3 suspects from the rival team. Mike said he was signing autographs for his friends. Jake said he had broken his ankle and he was getting a massage. John was training at the gym before the match. The police immediately knew who did it. It was Jake. You don't get a massage when you break your ankle. A doctor walked into an unconscious patient's ward. There, he saw a nurse buttoning up her shirt. As soon as she noticed him, she exclaimed, "It's not what you think." The nurse isn't lying, but why was her shirt unbuttoned in the first place? She got locked out of the changing room and knew that the patient was unconscious, so she went to his ward to change into her uniform. Yeah, I believe her. A group of 6 friends decided to check out an abandoned house in their neighborhood. When they arrived, Mark, one of the group, warned his friends not to go in. But all of them ignored him and walked in anyway. Mark stayed outside, but his friends never came out. What did he see that stopped him from going into the house? There were footprints going in, but none coming out. Detective Stevenson is taken by some of his mean supervisors who want to test his intelligence. They put him in a room with 2 doors. One leads to freedom, while the other opens onto a bottomless pit. There are 2 guards, either responsible for one door. One of them always tells the truth, while the other always lies. Stevenson doesn't know who's the honest one, and he can only ask one question to one of them. What should the question be to save his life? If I ask the security guard next to you which door leads to freedom, what will he say? The honest guard will say that the liar will point to the dangerous door. The liar will point to that one too. No matter who Stevenson asks, he should pick the door neither of them will point at. Melissa is walking down a dark alley when she notices a dark figure following her. She walks into a restaurant and sits at a table. The mysterious figure does the same. Then she yawns and immediately knows she's got a stalker. How? When she looked up, the mysterious figure was also yawning. It means they had been watching her. The director of a large company was found unconscious in his office. The police showed up, saw the messy office, and realized that a fight had gone down. They went to his secretary and asked to see the list of visitors that day. Immediately, they knew who did it. How? The last visitor was the culprit. During the fight, the wall clock also stopped because it got hit. It showed the exact time the last appointment took place. Sarah wanted to get some money from her brother for a house. She couldn't tell him the truth and asked him for an expensive gift. After a week, her brother gave her a glamorous tiara. Then she went to her second brother, asked for money, but he gave her jewelry. Still, she's got both money and jewelry. How is it possible? She asked for a similar jewelry item and sold one of them. Susie went on a dating website and found 3 guys that she liked, all with some very impressive backgrounds. But only one of them is telling the truth. Can you guess which one? Shane said he was an astronaut. He went to Mars and enjoyed a beautiful sunset. Chris said he was a scientist and went to the North Pole. He enjoyed being on floating ice and seeing both Arctic foxes and penguins. Dylan said he was a pilot, and once he flew his helicopter so fast he broke the sound barrier. Shane is telling the truth. The sunset on Mars is blue. There are no penguins in the North Pole, and helicopters can't travel faster than the speed of sound. Oh, and yes, we'll also ignore the fact that no one's been to Mars yet. Susie also thinks Shane has beautiful eyes, so who are we to disrupt this love connection?
Serena is a private investigator. This year, she decided to spend her vacation at a fancy ski resort. Serena arrives at the main gates and takes a look at the entrance. Then, she turns around to tip her taxi driver. After that, she returns to the gates and spots 3 changes. Can you also see them? Here they are. Serena enters the hotel. 3 porters offer to carry her bags. But one of them cannot help Serena with her luggage. Can you guess who and why? The guy in the middle has transparent hands that go through the walls. He's a ghost. So it's unlikely he'll be able to carry Serena's physical baggage. Serena approaches the reception desk. She's checking in along with 3 other people.
Hello.
Serena takes a look at her passports and immediately spots the fake one. What about you? The second guy's picture is black and white, but it's not a crime. The third lady's document also looks fine, but the picture of the first lady has snow-capped mountains in the background. No matter what country she's from, the background in the passport photo should be plain. So this ID is fake.
Yeah.
Finally, Serena receives a key card for her room. She goes there right away, but unfortunately, the door doesn't open. Serena returns to the reception to complain. She sees another lady complaining about the very same thing. Can you guess what's going on here? Remember the room number on Serena's key? It's 981. If we turn this number upside down, we'll get 186. The manager confused these 2 keys. The ladies should simply exchange the keys, and the incident will be over.
Okay.
Finally, Serena enters her fancy suite. She takes a couple of pictures to send them to her friend. Can you find 10 differences between them? Feel free to stop the video if you need more time. Are you ready to see the answers? Here are all 10 differences. Serena unpacks her bags to go skiing. Oh no! She forgot her hat at home. Serena goes to the local winter sports store to purchase a new hat. Which items don't belong here? This toy robot, high heel sandals, and a plastic pyramid shouldn't be here. After shopping, Serena decides to visit the local bakery. Can you spot any extra items here? This can of pet food and a dog bowl doesn't belong here, as well as this cat tree. Finally, Serena is in her ski suit. She's riding in a cable car to the top of the mountain with other resort guests. Can you spot the one who hasn't paid for the lift? I bet this little mouse didn't pay for the ride. The fire alarm wakes Serena up in the middle of the night. One of the cottages on the territory of the ski resort caught fire.
Oh no.
Luckily, all the guests and staff members are safe. Serena finds 3 suspects. One of these people started the fire for sure. Can you guess who? It's the guy in the bathrobe. He's hiding a bottle of fire starter liquid in his pocket.
Oh my god.
In the morning, Serena goes to the breakfast buffet. There are 4 croissants on the tray. One of them is made of plastic.
Oh.
Can you spot which one? Someone has bitten off the first croissant, so it's probably real. The third croissant was a little burnt, so it's real dough. Take a closer look at the 4th croissant. Some chocolate leaked out of it onto the plate, so it must be real too. Therefore, only the 2nd croissant can be plastic.
Oh.
Serena starts her breakfast. A young lady named Maya is eating with her husband, not far from Serena's table. Suddenly, Maya gets sick and faints. Her husband calls doctors and they arrive immediately. They conclude that Maya has eaten something poisonous. The husband says, "It's impossible. My wife didn't eat or drink anything today except for the breakfast on this table. I ate it too, and I feel fine." The doctors test the food, and surprisingly, it's perfectly fine.
Oh.
Serena has already cracked this mystery. What about you? The poison was in Maya's lip balm. Serena suspects that Maya's husband poisoned her, so she decides to follow him to find some evidence. He enters his hotel room for a moment and then leaves. Serena sneaks into the room. She finds nothing suspicious except a hotel notebook. Someone tore out exactly one page from it. Fortunately, the writer pressed the pen very hard and left traces on the next page. Serena shades the paper with a pencil and reveals the following text. Can you help her decode this message? If we read this text backwards, we'll get Maya is in the hospital. Finish the job.
Oh my god.
Serena rushes to the hospital to get ahead of the criminal. She enters Maya's room and faces 4 clowns. One of them is the criminal, and the rest are just actors who perform all over the hospital to uplift the patients. Can you spot the imposter? The guy with the red bow is the criminal. He sneaked it from the decorations in this room because he was rushing to disguise himself.
Oh.
Serena calls the hospital guards to arrest the imposter, but he pushes everyone away and escapes through the back door. Serena follows him and ends up in the parking lot. The criminal is hiding in one of these cars.
Come to me.
Can you find him? These 3 single cars seem empty and they don't have any signs of break-in. Meanwhile, someone is moving in the back of this pickup truck. Busted! The police arrest the criminal and Maya's husband. Meanwhile, Serena returns to the hotel late at night to get some rest. Oh no! Her room is a mess! Someone clearly rummaged through her things.
What's this?
In the morning, Serena questions 3 suspects. The cleaning lady says, "Yesterday afternoon, I changed your bed sheets, washed coffee stains off the carpet, and left." The manager says, "I sent a repairman to fix the sink in your bathroom, but I myself didn't enter." The repairman says, "Last night I visited your room to fix the sink. Your stuff was all over the place, but I just thought you were a messy person." Who's lying? The cleaning lady. She said she had removed the coffee stains from the carpet, but they're still here. Serena lands on a chair in the hotel lounge to sign a stack of postcards for her friends. Suddenly, she smells hot chocolate from the cafeteria. She goes there to order a cup for herself. In a couple of minutes, Serena returns to her chair. Oh no! The postcards are gone. She questions 3 people nearby. Mike says, "I was reading a book all the time, so I didn't look around." Richard says, "I was taking pictures of my girlfriend Stella. You can take a look if you don't believe me." And Stella says, "Richard is telling the truth. I was posing for the camera. Why would I pay attention to your stuff?" After hearing their stories, Serena knows for sure who's guilty. What about you? Take a closer look at Richard's pictures. Stella is in front of a fireplace. If we zoom in, we'll see the postcards in the fire. These liars use them to make the flame burn brighter and look better in the pictures.
What?
Richard apologizes and buys a new stack of postcards for Serena. She grabs one of them and writes the following rebus on it. Can you crack the meaning of this message? To infinity and beyond. Serena is having small talk with Mike. She asks about his hobbies. Instead of answering, Mike draws the following rebus. Can you crack it? He likes to swim underwater. Serena says, "I see you like puzzles. Crack my riddle and I'll get you a huge cup of hot chocolate." Mike agrees. Here's the riddle. The task is to replace the question mark with the correct letter. The letters imply the last letter of the sum of these numbers. 3 times 6 is 18, so the answer is N. 3 times 7 is 21, so the answer is E, and so on. 3 times 0 is 0. That's why we should replace the question mark with 0. Jules is participating in a space mission to Mars. The captain gives her a task to decorate the spaceship. Write something on a wall that makes a person sad when read in good times, and also makes one happy when read in sad times. It took a while, but Jules nailed it. What did she write? Nothing lasts forever. This is it. Jules and her fellow astronauts enter the spaceship and take their seats. Before the launch, Jules has to take care of one last thing. It's under you when it's whole. It shifts above you when you remove the first letter. It's all around you if you remove the second letter as well. What is it? A chair. It's time to start the mission. The captain needs to enter a secret 4-digit password to launch the spaceship. He wrote a little hint on his arm in a secret language. Can you crack the code? All we need to do is to count the number of intersections between the lines, and the code is 2, 5, 4, 8. Jules enters a room with 4 similar sleeping capsules. She needs to wake up her fellow astronaut, Josh, but she doesn't know where he is. There are 4 people sleeping in these capsules at the moment: Josh, Astrid, the physicist, Phil, the doctor, and Leo, the cook. Phil's capsule is next to Astrid. The person sleeping in the first capsule is a doctor. Also, Josh is not sleeping next to a physicist. Where's Josh? Easy peasy. Josh can only be sleeping in the 4th capsule. Jules and Josh enter the Starship Bridge. Can you find anything weird here? Look out the window. Birds don't fly in outer space. It's breakfast time. Jules goes to the dining room. Oh no! Someone finished the last tube with her favorite peanut butter.
Really?
Jules questions 3 suspects. Josh says, I didn't do it. I'm allergic to all kinds of nuts. Astrid says, I woke up, brushed my teeth, and came here. I don't know what's going on. Leo says,
I prepared food for everyone and left my post for 2 minutes to visit the restroom. Sorry, I didn't notice any signs of a break-in.
Who's lying? It's unlikely that a person with allergies could be sent on a space mission. Therefore, Josh is lying. The spaceship has a garden and a special lab that stores samples of different plants from Earth. Tonight, someone broke into the system and destroyed a couple of very important plants. The lab is protected by a special passcode, so Jules suspects that it might be one of their robots. Cameras in the lab have been broken before the incident, so she can't see any visual evidence. Can you help Jules find the guilty one among these 6 robots? Take a closer look at this robot. His light bulb is broken and its fragments lie under the broken CCTV camera. So he's the one who sabotaged the lab work. Thankfully, Jules manages to restore the plants, and soon they receive a solid harvest. Can you spot anything odd in this picture? Money doesn't grow on trees. Jules picks a lot of apples in the lab garden. The crew cannot eat so much at once, so she decides to preserve them. On the eve of canning, Jules finds out that someone has stolen all the fruits.
Oh no.
She questions the crew members. Leo says,
Why would I sabotage the mission? I'm the cook, so it's my job to manage food supplies.
Josh says, I saw a couple of apples floating in outer space the other day. I took a picture, but I didn't do it. And Astrid says, I was sick yesterday, so I spent all day in bed. I didn't touch any food, including apples. Who's lying? Astrid. She said she didn't touch the apples, but there's an apple core in her pocket. Later that day, Jules receives an emergency message from Josh. Can you help her crack it? Mathematically, this riddle doesn't make any sense. But if we cut the upper half of the whole expression, we'll get the phrase, I love you. The next morning, Jules goes to check the garden. She spots a creepy monster and reports the emergency to the captain right away. Can you spot the monster too? Over here. Jules tries to catch the monster, but he manages to escape from her. This creature is a shapeshifter, so he turns into one of the crew members. Jules interrogates the suspects. The captain says, I was video chatting with my family in the cabin. I didn't see any monsters. Josh says, I heard loud noises from the corridor, but I couldn't leave my post. Dr. Phil says, I'm having back pain, so I was doing exercises in the gym. Who's the monster? Phil, take a look at his palms. Both of them are left. This monster seems to have a poor understanding of human anatomy. Jules puts the monster in a cage, and now her task is to find the real Phil. Crack this rebus to help her figure out his location. Toilet. Jules finds Phil, and thankfully, he's okay. But there's something wrong about this place anyway. Can you spot what exactly? There are too many hands on the clock. Finally, Jules and her team land on Mars. They're greeted by 5 local residents who don't seem to speak human languages. Can you figure out who's the boss here? All 5 guys are wearing some kind of crown, so it's hard to tell who's the king. But if we take a look at their shoes, we'll see that only the 4th guy is wearing shoes different from everyone else. He must be someone special. Jules jumps from a spaceship without any parachute and survives.
Oh my god.
How come? The spaceship wasn't flying, it was on the ground. Jules takes a tour of the local interplanetary space station. There, she sees a deaf Earthling who came over to pick up a pre-ordered part for his ship. How did he explain what he wanted to the delivery service? He just said it. He's deaf, but we didn't say that he was mute. Jules accidentally steps on a local resident's foot. On Mars, it's a serious crime, so they immediately arrest Jules and put her in a room with 3 doors. All the doors lead to freedom, but unfortunately, each way hides a dangerous surprise. The first door is guarded by angry dogs. Behind the second door, there is a huge lit firecracker that should burst in 5 minutes. A furious guard with a baton is waiting behind the third door. What would you rather choose? Jules can wait 5 minutes until the firecracker bursts and then walk through the second door. Jules returns to her spaceship and goes to the lounge area to get some rest. Can you see anything weird here? Take a look at the big screen. There's a video screensaver saying, "Welcome to Mars." The mirror should have reversed the letters, but it didn't. Suddenly, Jules hears loud noises from the lab and goes there to check. A glitch made all the robots stand up and walk in a chaotic manner. They can destroy the entire lab. Jules has only one option: turn the robots off. What button should she press to stop them? The inscription that says, "Shut down all robots," has a wire linked with the third button. Jules calls other crew members to help her fix the mess in the lab.
Oh, no.
There are 3 hidden emojis in this location. Can you spot them? This notebook over here is an emoji, just like this telescope and those scales. Jules goes to bed. The next morning, she wakes up in an abandoned space station. She explores the area and comes across 3 tunnels. There's a portal leading to Earth at the end of each tunnel. But there's a twist. Creepy space monsters are waiting in the first tunnel. Venomous scorpions are crawling all over the second tunnel. The third tunnel has motion detectors spraying strong acids that can dissolve any metal. Which way is more or less safe? Jules should choose the second tunnel. She's wearing a spacesuit. It'll protect her from scorpions. Neil was one of the best watchmakers in town. He got a call from the police station one day, asking him for help to solve a crime. 2 burglars were caught robbing shops in town. Amongst the things they stole, there were 2 watches. One of the burglars claimed that the watch they stole was a fake, so the police contacted Neil to see if that was really true. Take a look at both watches. Can you help Neil figure out which one is fake and which one is real? The watch on the left is a fake. If you look closely, you'll see that the miniature arm is too long, so it can't pass around the entire clock when it moves. Maya was an undercover police officer. On a Saturday night, she was off duty and decided to go to the movies. When she arrived, she saw 2 women who looked pretty suspicious. She remembered that the police were tracking down a girl who had escaped from prison the week before. Take a look at both women. Can you tell if one has escaped prison recently? It's the lady on the left. Her prison uniform is peeking through her coat. I mean, she should have at least changed clothes by now, right? Beth arrived at school and one of her best friends showed her a picture. She told Beth that if she got the answer correctly, she would get a week's supply of free chocolate. The friend said that one of the people in the picture wasn't human. Can you help Beth figure out the answer? It's the boy in the middle. He doesn't have a shadow, which means he's definitely not human. Ruby was traveling around India when she decided to stop for some tea. As soon as she walked inside the tea shop, the owner placed 2 teapots in front of her. He told her she would get a free cup of tea if she could figure out his riddle. He told her that the first teapot contained enough tea for 40 cups and asked to figure out, just by looking at the pot, how many cups of tea it could carry inside. Take a look at the image. Can you help Ruby figure out the answer? This is a tricky one. Probably the second teapot can only carry around 20 cups of tea. If you look closely, you'll see that the outlets of the first teapot is located in the middle of the pot. But the outlet of the second pot is located right at the bottom, so even if the pot is taller, it can't hold more water than the first one. After water hits the level of the outlet, it'll just start overflowing. Mary was walking in an enchanted forest when she met Randy, a magical unicorn. Mary asked the unicorn for some information, but he refused to talk to her unless she solved one of his riddles. He was a trickster and liked confusing people with his riddles. He told Mary that in a nearby field there were tigers and sheep. Usually one tiger could catch 3 sheep in 3 minutes. So he asked her how long it would take for 100 tigers to catch 100 sheep. Can you help Mary figure out the answer? It would still take 3 minutes because each tiger is still catching 1 sheep in 3 minutes. It doesn't matter if it's 3 tigers or 100. The unicorn was surprised by Mary's abilities and gave her another riddle to solve. He asked her to name the 5 days of the week without saying Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. She also couldn't say whether it was the first day of the week or the last. What do you think Mary answered here? She said the day before yesterday, yesterday, today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. Clever girl, huh? Brianna was traveling on business, and her company put her in one of the best hotels in town. She arrived from work late at night, exhausted. She was getting ready to go to bed when she heard a knock on the door. When she looked through the peephole, she saw a man standing outside. The man said he was sorry for bothering her, but the hotel database had crashed and he needed to recheck some of her information. Brianna said she would be back in a moment, got away from the door, and called security. She said there was someone in the hotel trying to rob her. Take a look at the image. How did she know the man was a robber? Look at the man's name tag. It's a female name. He is surely not the real hotel manager. Luca decided to throw a party for his best friends. He invited over 20 people to the party, but he only bought 9 candies. He told his friends he would leave the candies inside a pretty little box, and they could each get 1 candy. 9 people took 9 candies, but 1 candy was still in the box. How could that be possible? It's pretty simple. The last person took the candy and the box. This way, 1 candy remained in the box. Noah reported to the police that someone had stolen his red motorbike the previous night, right out of his garage. The police started to search for it and tracked 3 main suspects. Take a look at them. Which one stole Noah's motorbike? It's this guy on the right. Look closely. His motorbike is painted, but the paint is dripping and one can spot the old red color. He must have stolen it and painted it in a different color so as not to attract any attention. But you caught him. It's the finale of the Big Money Buzz Show, and Natalie is faced with a difficult task. There are 3 fish bowls, each one of them containing a different amount of gold bars inside. If she manages to put her hand inside one of the bowls and take it out, she can keep the gold bar. The first bowl has scalding hot water inside of it. The second is filled with flesh-burning acid. And the last bowl has a couple of venomous scorpions walking around. Which bowl should she choose? Natalie should just wait until the water cools down and grab the gold bar from the first bowl. Smart, huh? Bobby was blindfolded and put into a shaky van. When he woke up, he was alone in a dark, empty room. There was nobody there, but there were 3 envelopes on the floor. A post-it on top of the envelope said, "Each envelope contains a red capsule and 2 statements. In one of these envelopes, both statements are false. In another envelope, both statements are true. You have to choose the correct capsule to get out of this alive." He opened the first envelope, saw a capsule and the message, 1. Don't eat this candy. 2. Take the candy from the second envelope. On the second envelope, the note said, 1. Don't take the candy from the first envelope. 2. Take the candy from the third envelope. And the last envelope said, 1. Don't eat this candy. 2. Take the candy from the first envelope. Which capsule should Bobby take? He should trust the candy from the third envelope. Let's see why. The first message of the first envelope is true, while the second is false. Both messages from the second envelope are true. This leaves us with 2 false statements on the third envelope. The manager of a gift shop got a call from the police station. The police told him there was a burglar on the loose. He dressed up as the Joker and was robbing local shops. But since it was Halloween, a lot of people were walking dressed up as the Joker. At that moment, 4 Jokers entered the shop. The manager got suspicious, so he made the people stand in a line while he examined which one of them was the criminal. Take a look at the image. Can you guess which Joker is the real thief? The thief is the second Joker on the left. Take a look at his shoes. They're much bigger than the other shoes. He must be hiding something inside of it.
Hey Brightside Detectives, we really need your help here. These riddles are to be solved as fast as possible. Look at these 2 people. Both of them seem to be in grave danger, but only one of them is actually risking his life. Which person is it? The gentleman with the cane is out of danger. He'll figure out that the edge of the cliff is ahead with the help of his cane. As for the man engrossed in his smartphone, he might not notice the edge of the cliff and fall down. While swimming near the shore, Mark has come across 3 young ladies. What the guy doesn't know is that only one of these women is not a mermaid. How can he understand who is who? Well, the answer is quite obvious. The guy should dive and check which one of the girls has legs and which 2 are sporting tails. Look at these 2 doctors attentively. Only one of them is a real vet. Which doc is it? The real vet is wearing gloves. Each of these 3 prisoners is hoping to escape one day, but one of them might do it in the near future. Which one is it? The guy who's peacefully reading a book must be planning an escape. Do you see that poster on the wall? It's likely covering a hole. Look at the ground right beneath it. There's some sand from drilling. Maria got lost in an enchanted castle. While looking for a way out, she entered a room filled with similarly dressed gentlemen. They were all cheering for the king. Oh, maybe he could help Maria get out of the castle. But how can the girl figure out which of these men is the king? The king is the man on the right, sitting next to Maria. He's the only one who's looking out the window while everyone else is looking at him. In search of a treasure, you come to this crossroads. Which direction should you pick to find the treasure? The answer is actually carved on the stone. Turn the inscription upside down, and it'll say south. David woke up in a hospital with no memories whatsoever. Soon, 3 girls rushed into his room. Each of them claimed to be his only sister. Can you help David figure out which of these ladies is telling the truth? David's real sister is the girl in the middle. Look, they both have identical birthmarks on their hands. Michael was diving when he realized he was about to run out of oxygen. He saw 2 caves nearby. Which cave should he choose to have a chance to survive? He should opt for the left cave. Have you noticed those bubbles of air coming out of it? It means there must be some dry land inside the cave. An elderly lady called the police to report that her neighbor, a young woman called Gina, seemed to have disappeared. The woman hadn't seen her for a few days and got worried. When the police arrived at Gina's house, they managed to unlock the door and found Gina inside, tied to a chair with her mouth covered with a scarf. When she could talk again, she told the police that 3 days ago, a robber had broken into her house, tied her, and taken all her money and gadgets. The police officers didn't believe Gina. Why? Look at the date on the calendar. Over there on the wall. See? It's the same date as the one on the calendar at the police station. But if Gina was tied all this time, who was changing the dates on her calendar? 3 friends, Kathy, Mark, and Lauren, gathered together to catch up on their latest news at Lauren's place. At one point, they decided to play hide and seek. When it was Lauren's turn to look for her friends, she easily found Mark. But even with his help, she couldn't spot Kathy. Can you help Lauren find her friend? Kathy took her task seriously. Look, she's hiding in a trash can. Megan invited her friends to a restaurant to celebrate her birthday. They had a lot of fun. Megan got the best birthday present ever, a ring with a large diamond. But suddenly, the room plunged into darkness. After several minutes of total confusion, the lights came back on. But Megan's ring was gone. Look at the image attentively and try to figure out who stole it. It's the waiter. Look at the glass he's holding. He must have put the ring inside. Now there's much more water in it. It's the year 2158. Jim is repairing the roof of his garage. At one point, he slips and falls to the ground and breaks his leg. But the next day, Jim is already walking in the park, looking perfectly fine. How is it possible? Jim is a robot. See that red light blinking over his left ear? They must have repaired him really fast. Marta was walking through the park near her home in the evening. It was dark and there was nobody around. Suddenly, her bag was grabbed from behind and the person bolted away. Marta took off after them. She was pretty sure this person was a woman, but she couldn't make out her appearance or clothes. The woman disappeared inside a school building. When Marta ran inside, she saw 3 teachers. The girl looked at them attentively and soon figured out which one had taken her bag. Can you do the same? The woman in the middle wouldn't be able to run with the cast on her leg. The one on the right doesn't have anything in her hands. Where would she hide Marta's bag so quickly? But the woman on the left has a big shopper bag on her shoulder. A real teacher wouldn't need to carry it in the classroom. A wealthy businessman was kidnapped right from his house. The detective who arrived to investigate the case found nothing strange inside, but a mysterious note with a strange set of symbols written on it. There are 3 suspects: Eric, Ellie, and Colin. Can you help the detective identify the criminal? The culprit is Ellie. Her name is the one coded in the note. Susan worked in a clothing store that sold expensive designer items. One day, she discovered that someone had stolen a pair of pants. Look at the people who were inside at that time. Try to figure out who the thief is. It's the guy on the right. If you look attentively at his legs, you'll see the pants peeping out from under his jeans. Newlyweds Maria and Daniel went to a tropical island on their honeymoon. They stayed at a luxurious hotel. But one day, when they returned from dinner, they found out that someone had broken into their safe and stolen Maria's jewelry. There were several suspects: a maid, Maria and Daniel's neighbors, and the hotel manager. But the maid claimed that she hadn't cleaned any rooms on the newlyweds' floor at all that day. The neighbors said that they had been on an excursion all day and had just returned. And the hotel manager stated that he had several important meetings with clients and hadn't left his office. Can you figure out who the thief is really quick? The neighbors stole the jewelry. Have you noticed a bolt cutter in their bag? Why would they need it on an excursion? David worked at a construction site. Once, someone attacked him, and the unconscious man was taken to a hospital. Police officers who arrived to investigate the case had 3 suspects: Alex, Ryan, and John. Alex said that he had been putting tiles on the roof when the accident happened. Ryan confessed that he'd been sleeping under a tree. And John claimed that he'd been laying bricks at that time. Who's lying? Alex was the one to hurt David. The building has no roof yet, so he couldn't be putting tiles up there